for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
The grades are in. ESPN graded every team on their draft moves. Landon Schmidt, do you know who the only team was that got an A+?
I believe it was our Grizzlies, wasn't it?
It was the Grizzlies, the only team with the moves they made to get into this elite place. A+. There's no doubt Zach Kleiman can draft. Let's see how it all plays out. You saw today, Melo Ball. He got traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Charlotte gets back Naz Reid and a bunch of draft picks. Think about this. Isn't that exactly what the Grizz were hoping to get for John Morant? So basically, Minnesota chose Melo Ball. That he's a better player, a better fit with Anthony Edwards than John Morant would have been. So I just don't know what they do now with John Morant. Pete Pranica, the TV voice of the Grizzlies, who was there at FedEx Forum, saw him up on the big screen for the fan deal on draft night. We will talk with him about that. I sit here and wonder, with the way they drafted, I know they ended up picking up Richie Saunders, the kid from BYU who's a shooter, who, by the way, had ACL surgery in February, so he's not even going to be available right off the bat. He's a two-way guy, maybe, right? So, I mean, if we're being honest here, they never solved the problem. Unless you're going with Ty Jerome and Scottie Pippen Jr., that could be the case. That is the way they've decided they're going to go, and they're still going to trade Ja. But if you just watched what Minnesota picked and what Charlotte got, I don't think you're getting that for Ja. Could it be that Ja will remain on this roster? I do not know. World Cup tonight. I'm hoping to get the soccer rocker, Matt O'Sullivan, on the show tomorrow. The United States will play Turkey tonight in a game that is meaningless for them. They're not going to play 4 of their stars because they have yellow cards. Might we see going into this tournament, the best player in the team, Pulisic, will he play tonight just to get into form for what will be the knockout round, the next game after this? Not sure. The game, by the way, is on at 9 o'clock tonight. I was reading this story, and I actually happened to be at Bog and Barley last night and ran into J.D. Naylor, who's the owner of the place. It has become, and they didn't pay me for the spot, it has become a thing to do, a place to go. And I've known this forever because I've watched soccer games in Cooper Young at Celtic Crossing. But I am told this World Cup has been incredible. They sold more beer, the story says, than they ever could have believed. But it has become the place to go. So if you got nothing to do and you want to feel like family watching this game and enjoy a crowd, Celtic Crossing may be the place to go tonight. I know for the World Cup final, they're charging $15 to get in. But the $15 is going to go to charity. I forget the charity at the moment, but I think a cool deal. So if you love soccer, football, and you want to go to a place where other people do, that becomes contagious, check out Celtic Crossing. USA, Turkey tonight. We'll talk about it tomorrow. We'll see where the U.S. ends up in this thing. I would not be shocked if it was a 0-0 draw, but 9 o'clock tonight on Fox. The 5-year rule is done. I'm looking forward to Monday. We will chat with Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News and the Big Ten Network and Fox, really. That part of this thing is now done. So, in other words, Once you sign with a team, your clock begins. You've got 5 years to play. And I mean, you can play all 5 years. If you get injured, kind of tough luck. There's no more red shirt, gray shirt, blue shirt, whatever. You got 5 years, and basically 24, because they're assuming at 19 would be the oldest you would enter into college. 19 to 24, there's your 5 years. Now, I think this young man that has been picked up by the Tigers from Poland, or from Serbia, played in the Polish League. He will be 25 in December. I think he gets in because he's 24 when the season begins. He may get grandfathered in because before the rule was voted in, he was enrolled at the University of Memphis. So he could get grandfathered in. He could get grandfathered in for 2 years. I don't know if that's the case, and I don't know if he wants to play here 2 years because maybe he has such a great year that he becomes an NBA draft choice. You got to be a first rounder, though, because he's probably going to make more money than a two-way guy's going to make. Thus is the state of college sports, which gets me to the Protect College Athletes rule. You've heard, I know, Landon, you've heard of this. It is unintended consequences. So when I think Matt Campbell was involved, who's the guy who is the main provider of money to Texas Tech. But he devised a plan that would protect all of college athletics, and part of that is being presented in this bill. It was to make sure everybody had a chance to compete, but there's unintended consequences in this bill, as written right now, that could get passed by the Senate, that states there would be a freeze on any movement. The reason they put that in was they did not want to see the SEC and the Big Ten gobble up every major franchise and then pull away from the collegiate body. That the SEC and the Big Ten would become major college sports. The others would become afterthoughts. So that was the intended consequence of making this freeze. But what it does is it now freezes out any school's possibility of moving up, no matter what sort of financial dedication and dreams they have. The group of six, Memphis included, would be shut out if this rule is passed. So I think it'll be tweaked, and I don't think it's going to pass because I think there's enough people, presidents and then states involved, that are saying you can't stop the SEC and the Big Ten from trying to get better. Now, you may be able to legislate somehow, some way that they can't pull away, that there's got to be protections for all in this. And I know there's some financial divide that is involved in this. But those are the unintended consequences. And I know if you're a Memphis fan and you want to see all that is being done and these predictions of getting in 28, and there's also thoughts that because of this, they are accelerating, trying to make the dominoes fall. And the Big 12, or I should say the ACC schools that want to jump to the Big 10 or the SEC could do that quickly, and that would open up the door for schools like Memphis and maybe USF to get in. So it could become accelerated. But as it is written right now, it is not in the best interest of the University of Memphis. And I'm not so sure if it's in the best interest of all college sports. The way it's written, there are good things in there. But the way that clause is, that is not a good thing for the U of M. I sit here in the Family Leisure Studios. I remind you the ultimate pool party with those great, great prices on above-ground pools under $4,000, in-ground pools. Yes, they do those now. And they are state-of-the-art. They are under $50,000, all in-stock patio and their furniture, all priced to move, like a 5-piece patio furniture set with all the new fabrics and designs, under $1,000, and you get a free umbrella and base with every purchase of any kind of patio furniture set. And if you mention us, $200 off a pool or a spa purchase. Tell them we sent you when you go to Family Leisure, I-40 and Whidden Road, where that pool party, the ultimate one, is going on. It was a ultimately a very successful and exciting night at FedEx Forum. Draft night, Pete Pranica was on the big Jumbotron. I was there. It was a cool atmosphere, that is for sure. And the Grizzlies, Pete, were the only ones, according to the grades from ESPN, to get an A+ for the overall draft and the ultimate move that ended up getting them a backup center in Isaiah Stewart. Do you concur with ESPN? Good morning.
Good morning. Who am I to argue with?
Yeah, there you go.
And the Athletic did as well. I think it's pretty much across the board that Zach Kleiman and the Grizzlies front office aced this draft. Getting Cam Boozer is a no-brainer, and even though he was the third overall pick, I really and truly believe that if they let me sneak into the Grizzlies war room, I think Boozer was number one on their list anyway. So they got their target there. Look, they really wanted Kareem Lopez. He'd been playing with the New Zealand Breakers. Zach Kleiman had gone down under to see him play in person. Chris Pongrass, who is now with the Sydney Kings, is a former Grizz executive. So I think that there were a lot of eyeballs on Kareem Lopez. And when the Grizzlies focus on a guy, they try to game out, okay, who else may want them? And let's see what we can do to position ourselves higher, or in this case, lower, to make sure we get this guy. And they got second-round picks, a total of 5, some of which they redeemed with Detroit last night to get Isaiah Stewart. It was an absolutely brilliant move. And the kid Saunders from BYU, I know he's coming off an ACL, so I'm not really sure what his medical status would be, but an absolute knockdown shooter and good size for a scoring guard. So without a doubt, you came away with 3 players, and you came away with a couple more draft picks that you can use down the road.
I know.
So definitely an A+ job by the Grizzlies.
Well, I must confess, I was in the Pinnacle Bank area for a shindig they were having, but I peeked in when all this movement started to happen, and I saw you and Eric Hasseltine on the Jumbotron trying to figure out what the heck was going on. So explain to me in your mind, as you see, they are approaching 16 and they get the Sturts kid, and I'm thinking to myself, they already got this guy. They got Cam Spencer. They don't need this guy. And then the word comes, wait a second, they don't really have him. They're trading him to Oak City. Then here comes another move at 17. What are you thinking at that time?
I'm thinking that there's somebody that they really want in the draft that they think will be available later. But in the meantime, I've been doing these draft parties and draft watches for a lot of years. Rarely do you see a team trade to move down. And so I figured either there was somebody that they really wanted that they felt would be there later in the draft, or they were just going to maybe trade out of the first round and just take their 5 second-round picks and be happy and then pick again at 32. Because, again, the other thing to remember is you got 14 guys under contract, and all your two-way slots are filled currently. So, you got 3 guys, 4 with Isaiah Stewart, and you don't have roster spots for everybody. So, my thought was maybe like, okay, we'll take Cam Boozer and our second-round draft picks, and we'll call it a day until we pick again at 32. But that's not what they chose to do.
No. Did you realize they were chasing Lopez?
No. I mean, I don't have access, and the Grizzlies front office is the most unleaking front office in the history of the NBA. So no, I would have had no idea.
So here's what happens: they get 3 guys. Now they're going to have to cut some people, right? They got 3 guys and a backup center, and they still got 2 extra second-round picks. That's why they got an A+. I mean, Zach Kleiman is a wizard with this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, what they've mastered is we got a guy, and this is the guy we want. And, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Zaire Williams, Grizzlies traded up to pick him. The mock drafts had him a lot lower. And, the thing about Lopez is if you read Sam Bensi in The Athletic, he's like, this kid's a project and he doesn't defend really well, and was very negative about him. Yet there were other draft authors who felt that he could have been a lottery pick. So I see this as a high value pick for the Grizzlies. And like I said, they tend to really focus in on a guy, and come hell or high water, they're going to move up or down to try to get that guy. So I think they believed in Lopez. They really wanted him, and they were going to move heaven and earth. And in this case, they were fortunate enough that they were able to move down and get some draft capital.
No, the New Zealand Breakers, Kendrick Davis played for them, may still be playing for them, I'm not sure. I think he might have been moved to Sydney. Wherever he went, he won a championship in that Australian league. But I'm curious if those two were teammates.
I don't know that. I do know that Lopez played for Petteri Kapanen, a Finnish coach, who, oh, by the way, was a Finnish national teammate of Tuomas Isilo.
Mm.
So Lopez does have kind of a 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon relationship with Tuomas. He knows, I don't know if he knows him personally, but obviously there's some synergy there. So it's not a total stranger coming in. And an interesting journey for Lopez, being born in Mexico and played in Spain for a year. He's been a pro since he's 14. And then the NBL has a program they call their Next Stars program, where there are guys that are NBA draft eligible, and they really focus on them. Josh Giddey is a product of that program. LaMelo Ball is a product of that program. So Kareem Lopez is the latest product of the NBL Next Stars program to get into the NBA.
Give me the lowdown on Isaiah Stewart. I'm guessing really they made all these moves to pick up these second-round picks. I don't even know when these – I might be dead when these picks are actually available.
I think it's 2028 or later.
Oh, well.
So they're not – they weren't this year, obviously. They're not next year either.
All right, well, I'm hoping I'm still around that quickly. My question is, were they picking up this capital not only to get Lopez, but they had Isaiah Stewart in mind all the time?
It's entirely possible. Look, when you look at this year's draft by the Grizzlies, the through line is we need to be a better rebounding team, because that's another thing that Lopez does really well. He rebounds really well. Boozer's a good rebounder. So now, that was the great deficiency for the Grizzlies last year after Edey went out with the injury and you trade away Jock Landale. There's nobody to rebound. So rebounding, because Tuomas Isilo is all about the possession game. Possession game comes down to pace, how many possessions can you get in a game, and possession of the basketball, which is not turning it over, and rebounding the basketball. And rebounding was a major deficiency for the Grizzlies last year, and that was addressed. Beef Stew is a rugged rebounder, and he can block some shots too. And he's going to fit right in Memphis. I mean, he might be Zebo 2.0.
I'm curious. You mentioned pace because Edey Boozer's not the quickest of dudes. We know he's fundamentally very sound, but he's not the term's athletic. What does that mean? Jumping and quick steps. Do you think Isilo would change that pace philosophy?
Pace is more than just running up and down the floor. Pace is how quickly you get into your offense, that you're not going down to 5 seconds on the shot clock. So, you get a guard to bring it across and you initiate your offense, and 1-2 actions, and, you're into something that you could score with. So pace is over and above how fast you can run. It's how quickly you can make decisions. And one of the things that the Grizzlies really valued, they value overall, and they certainly valued in this draft, is what they call processing. How fast can you read a situation? And that's one of the great strengths of Cam Boozer, is that he processes situations really quickly. So, you get a guard to bring it across, you throw it into Boozer, Boozer makes a quick decision, and Edey's there, you're going to get a score. So it's more than just making it a track meet. I mean, pace is more than just a track meet.
I'm really curious how this will work out. You mentioned LaMelo Ball movement today. He goes to Minnesota for Naz Reid and for a bunch of draft picks. That could have been a trade with Ja. The guard that you got when you could have, with Lopez, you could have taken Phylan, you could have taken Anderson. Both guys are pretty good guards that I think would have fit. You do have Ty Jerome and Scottie Pippen Jr. That could be the way that Isilo and Zach Kleiman decide to go at that point guard spot. But they did not move Ja It looks like another spot he could have gone to is now taken. Do you think, since, look, Saunders is going to be a two-way guy. He's coming off that ACL. He probably isn't going to be able to play till late in this next year. Do you think there's the possibility, with the way this has played out, that Ja could actually be in the picture next year?
No, I think I don't envision him being with the Grizzlies next year. I don't. And how this plays out, now Charlotte, are they looking for a lead guard? And, John Morant, would he welcome an opportunity to go back closer to his home area in the Carolinas? I mean, I don't, that's total speculation on my point. I have absolutely no knowledge of what's going on.
Well, there's picks there. They got picks, that's for sure.
Right, and the Grizzlies also have a massive trade exception of about $29 million. So
right.
you can trade Ja, but you don't need to get his entire salary coming back. And so that would be a selling point. It would make him easier. It would make it easier for the Grizzlies to move him. I don't know how it's going to play out. I don't think the market is very robust. And going back to the point guard question, don't forget the Grizzlies have Walt Clayton, who was a lottery pick last year as a point guard. And so, and Zach Kleiman's comments on draft night were, we like our guards. And I think they're in a position. We didn't see much from Scottie Pippen last year due to injury.
Right.
We didn't see a ton from Walter Clayton Jr. because he was, a midseason acquisition. You didn't see a ton from Ty Jerome because he was hurt for a good portion of the season. So I think the reason they did not take another point guard is because I think they're happy, or at least believe they can be happy with the guys they already have on the roster.
Okay. Pete, I don't know how much will change next week, but we will talk next Thursday. I promise.
Sounds good.
Thank you much for your observations. We appreciate you.
You got it.
That is Pete Pranica, TV voice of the Grizzlies on a very exciting draft night. And that is true. Two different entities give the only A+ to Zach Kleiman and the Grizzlies for the maneuvering that they did. And don't forget, it comes down to they got three guys. I don't really know where Richie Sanders is going to play in this, but they got three guys, and they got their backup center and 2 extra second-round draft picks. That's pretty good maneuvering for sure. I may have to change Tim Doolin's name. You know Nostradamus, right? I may have to call him Nostratimus. He picked Oklahoma. He said there would be 7. There were 5 SEC teams into the College World Series. He knows his stuff, and he knows these guys, and he's going to recap the College World Series, the 5-year eligibility rule, how that's going to affect baseball, that and a whole lot more with our baseball guy in just 1 minute.
Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Available locally on your radio dial as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, it's easy to stay tuned to Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Why so down, little buddy?
Little buddy?
I'm just trying it out.
New.
Fine. Why so down?
Somebody invited me to a barbecue.
Ooh, I'm guessing they're not from here.
They were not.
It takes time for people from other parts of the country to understand that barbecue is a food, not an event.
Obviously, they meant a cookout.
I imagine you let them know that.
I did. I went on an extended rant about how if they want barbecue, they need to go to Central Barbecue because Central Barbecue has the best barbecue in the world.
But they weren't planning on serving ribs at their barbecue?
They were cooking burgers.
Oh, those Philistines.
Old Dominick Distillery is pouring Memphis pride into every cocktail. From the winning atmosphere at its downtown Memphis distillery to award-winning craft spirits, Old Dominick is pure Memphis spirit through and through. Swing by the distillery bar for a pregame cocktail or celebrate your wins with a guided tour and tasting. Old Dominick Distillery. Come for the spirits, stay for the experience. Cheers to Memphis. Learn more at OldDominick.com.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Hello, I'm Ford Canale of Canale Funeral Directors. For more than a century, the Canale family has been honored to serve Memphis families during life's most difficult moments. In fact, Canale Funeral Directors is proud to be the oldest continually operating business in Memphis, built on a tradition of compassion, dignity, and personal service. When a family places their trust in us, we understand it's about much more than arrangements. It's about celebrating a life, honoring cherished memories, and providing comfort when it's needed most. Whether you're planning ahead or facing an immediate need, our experienced and caring staff is here to guide you every step of the way. From our family to yours, thank you for allowing us to serve generations of Memphis families with the respect and attention they deserve. Canale Funeral Directors, quietly caring since 1843.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We talk baseball every Thursday with Tim Doolin, and he's brought to you by his favorite golf course, I think, in the world. That's Miramichi, one of my favorites, 25 minutes from my driveway in East Memphis, because it's in Woodstock. It's not in Millington, and it's gorgeous. It's got, let's see, the best view in all of Shelby County is the deck over 9 and 18. Got a full-service clubhouse with great food, great service, a lot of camaraderie, a lot of good TVs in there to watch golf that's going on or in the fall football. It's always great. It really is. And then there's the golf course. You can't beat it. Go back 7,000 yards. They play NCAA golf in there. They play the AJGA competitive junior golf there. They can go back over 7,000 yards, or you can move up under 6,000 yards like I like to play because I've gotten old. It's gorgeous any way you look at it. The back nine's like walking through the woods with hills and a stream, and it's perfect. And if you want to learn the game, the best practice facilities in all of Memphis Public Golf. Better than most country clubs. You've even got a sand trap you can practice out of, a chipping green, obviously the biggest putting green, and a great driving range with balls all over the place. All you got to do is go the 25 minutes, and then you'll be wowed. Tell them we sent you when you go to Miramichi. So you said there would be 7 SEC teams in. There would be 5, but you did pick Oklahoma, which surprised me because Oklahoma in the regular season, Tim Doolin, was under 500, I believe 14 and 16, tied for 11th in their own league, and now they're national champions. Good morning.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously baseball, we talk about it all the time over the years, Wolo, is like, any team that gets hot, they can win it. And the fact that they had to play in the toughest league in the country week in and week out, they had to grind through the first half of the season when they weren't very good. But all of a sudden you look up and, they lose the first game of the SEC tournament and they go into, Georgia Tech, arguably the best team in the country over the course of the year. And they come out of the losers bracket to win that regional, and then they just boat race Kansas. And then you look up, and I think one of the most enjoyable things for me, obviously picking them was great, but just to watch that team play probably the most complete baseball series as far as the total thing that they brought to the table. You look at their defense, their outfielders, nothing dropped. As center fielder and right fielder, even the left fielder were catching balls, throwing guys out at bases. Obviously, the middle infield defense speaks for itself. Then you get a catcher that gets hot, hits like 9 home runs in the last 4 weeks of the season, and then they pitched it outstanding. They started a pitcher against Georgia that was a freshman that hadn't even started but one game, and he shoved. And so I think it was just one of those things where the stars lined up. They were playing really good at the right time. They were playing loose. I didn't think they played with a lot of pressure, but yet Omaha was fabulous again this year with several storylines.
Well, all their bats got hot. I mean, North Carolina, by most of the experts that I heard or read about, were saying North Carolina was the favorite because of the way their pitching would play out. And honestly, Oklahoma's bats just wore them down. Look at that final game. They had to bring in their two guys that shouldn't even be in the game. Their studs had to come in early to try to put out the fire, and then they couldn't do anything, and they were out, and it was essentially over.
Well, that's right. And to be honest with you, you look at the bottom third of Oklahoma's lineup, they did as much damage as the top third, and so that makes it pretty difficult when you're facing those guys and figuring, okay, typically you got 5 or 6 guys you got to pitch to or pitch around or whatever, and then the other guys you just go right at. Well, not in this case because all their guys were swinging it.
No. So if I do my math correctly, the Sooners become the 6th different SEC team to win the College World Series within at least the last 10 years, maybe a shorter time period. LSU, Tennessee, Mississippi State and Ole Miss, Vanderbilt. Who am I missing? There's one other team in there.
I don't. It wasn't Auburn.
No.
A&M? No.
No. Let's see. Let's do this again. Tennessee, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Vandy, LSU,
Oklahoma.
And Oklahoma. There it is. Right there.
There you go.
That's 6. So 6. I mean, you talk about domination. That's crazy.
Well, and I think the domination is going to continue as we kind of walk into the 5-year for 5 ruling. I think it's great for college baseball. I hope they adopt a one-time transfer without having to sit out, and then after that you have to sit out. That'll solve that.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, I think they're in some form it's going to be able to help the mid-majors in the sense that if you can convince a kid, say that's at Georgia or Oklahoma, that as a freshman he didn't get to play. Well, if you get him as a mid-major, you've got the guy for 4 more years because he's not going to transfer. He's not going to sit out a year. His advisor won't let him. And so then you got a chance to build at least a little bit of stability. But in the same regard, this money's flowing ever crazy, and so there's going to be guys, from these College World Series teams that are going to get in the portal and go get paid. Arkansas loses a shortstop that's going to Oklahoma. Because the shortstop for Oklahoma is going to get drafted and signed. So, and I guarantee he got paid. So it's crazy, but it's getting, I guess, a little bit less crazy with the last few days of the NCAA rulings.
Well, I wonder, how many of these guys that are on this Oklahoma team that would be out of the year of eligibility because they played 4 would get a 5th year. That's one. And I'm also
here. Let me interrupt you on that.
Okay.
So if you're a senior this year, like you do not get another year. You will not. The only thing you'll get is if you were, like say you were a junior going to be a senior next year, you would have 2 years.
Let me ask you this. What about the guy, okay, so that's baseball because that's just ending and it just got voted in. What about football next year? What about basketball next year? Are those seniors going to get another year?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think if they pass the rule yesterday, it's going to move forward. Like if you're a senior this coming season, right, then you would get an extra year. Okay. But if you just finished your senior year, right, and
you're out of eligibility.
You're out of eligibility. You don't get another year
before the deal was made. Okay, that makes makes sense to me. But here's the other thing. That junior who now gets 2 years, unless he's like a top 10 or 15 pick, right, in the draft, doesn't he make more money playing college baseball than he would in the pros? Yeah,
absolutely. Especially if you're at a Power 5 school, because again, they're going to take advantage of the fact they got a 22-year-old, 23-year-old grown man that they've taught and developed in the culture and all those things. So it's like we talked about last. You and I talked about off the air is that whoever your favorite college team is, that's really your favorite professional team. I mean, that's the way it is.
Right. How much do you think Oklahoma's budget was this year, or who had the biggest budget NIL.
Tennessee, Texas, Arkansas, A&M, Oklahoma was probably, if not close to the bottom, they were close to the bottom. They had about $1 million in NIL this past year.
That's all.
I'm hearing that it's going to go up to 2.2 million, which is still not a big number. It's just not a big number.
Not compared to football and basketball. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, and we had a player that's in the big leagues with the White Sox, Braden Montgomery, that left Stanford and went to Texas A&M a couple of years ago for $750,000 1 year. 1 year, one player.
Wow.
So so I'm all for the player, but I think there's got to be some guidelines, and obviously they're working toward getting some, but we'll see what happens. But it was I represent both the Branch boys, and then I've got the third Branch boy that plays on my 17U team that's going to Dartmouth. But that whole story behind their family and the experience was awesome.
Were you there?
No, I couldn't be there. I wished I was. I was chasing these 17-year-olds around. I'm in Atlanta right now.
Okay. Well, you also chasing around Mookie Blaylock, who's also was
Mookie
a dude.
Betts, yeah.
I mean Mookie Betts, yeah.
Yeah, he had his 300th career home run.
I know it. What?
Yeah.
And you think about how many World Series championships has he got?
Four. He's got four.
Three with the Dodgers and one with the Red Sox?
That's right.
That is incredible. Now, I must confess, as you know, I sent you a picture. I was
Yes,
in Rate Field, the old Comiskey Park, in Chicago when Mookie and the Dodgers played the Chicago White Sox, who are on fire. By the way, they are the surprise of the year. We'll get into that in a second. Tied with Cleveland for the lead in the American League Central. But I'm there, and the game is led off with a home run by Shohei. Unbelievable. I got to see that. And then Yamamoto's pitching a perfect game until the 8th, and your guy booted it.
I know.
I bet he felt terrible. He had to feel horrible.
He did feel terrible, but you know what? They interviewed him after the game. He didn't dodge it. He just owned it. And you know what? He's I say this all the time, but I texted him last night and said, stay in the process. He said, yes, sir. So he's all about the process. He loves all the stuff that goes with it, but more than anything, he's trying to get better every day. He's proven. If you remember a couple of years ago, I said you asked me, can this guy play shortstop? And I said the worst thing could happen is if the opponent's media challenge him and say he can't play it, because there was enough people that said he couldn't, and he's proven that he's a Gold Glove type shortstop. And so he's all about winning. He wants to win, and it's not about himself. But
four
anyway.
rings and a fifth, a real good possibility.
That's right.
Speaking of great players that are dueling Dodgers and represented by you now, Blaze Jordan, who has just gone up the ladder this year, did great in Memphis, in his hometown, and then started off with a home run in his very first game in St. Louis. And we're gonna have him on next week. Is that what you told me?
Yeah, I'm gonna get him on next week. I was able to go to his first game in Minnesota, and he got to hit his first at bat, which I'm sure was a big relief. But he's done well, and it's his job. And he's playing a really good third base. He's played first a couple times. I talked to Stubby before the game, and he's super excited about working with him. And I think the sky's the limit for this guy. He can really, really hit.
Is the biggest surprise that he can play third so well?
If there's a biggest surprise, yeah. But I mean, we did it when he was 16, going into his senior year. I just thought it would create a little bit of versatility. He got his body in shape, got more athletic, and just over the last 3 or 4 years, he's proven that he can play there. Is he a Gold Glove third baseman? I don't know that he's that, but he can definitely play it, and it's his position to lose right now, and I think they're super excited about him.
One of the great stories of the year is the Chicago White Sox, who won like 25 games 2 years ago. They were terrible last year. I think this is a story of spirituality, because I really believe it's Pope Leo. Big White Sox fan for this turnaround. They're 3 games over 500 now. They're tied for the lead in the American League Central with the Cleveland Guardians. Give me your breakdown here. Is that the biggest Cinderella story this year?
They've got 2 dueling Dodgers on their big league roster.
Oh,
that's what it is. No, I tell you what. I mean, I think when you look at the Cardinals and the White Sox, they're doing it with some really good draft picks and youth. Some good acquisitions in trades. The Cardinals are one of the, I think, It's not the youngest, one of the youngest teams in the big leagues as far as their starting roster or starting lineup goes. The White Sox aren't far behind them. I mean, it's just tough when you're in the divisions they're in to try to get competitive and stay competitive.
All right, last thing, I've been meaning to ask you about this. The Dodger catcher, Rushing?
Yep, he's from Munford.
He's from the Memphis area.
Yeah.
He's listed on the on the scoreboard as from Memphis. He got into it a little bit yesterday with Shohei, and he got Dave Roberts gave an earful.
He went to Louisville. He went to Louisville, and it was a great fit. Dan McDonald is one of the best coaches in the game, super guy, and really molded him into a great catcher and a great competitor, and he's doing really good. They love him there.
Was he a Doolin Dodger?
His brother played with us. His brother played with us. He didn't, but his brother played with us and actually got the chance to go to Memphis and pitch.
Interesting story.
Left-handed pitcher. So good people. Good people.
Tim Doolin, you're a good guy. Thank you. We'll talk next Thursday with Blaze Jordan. I look forward to that.
All right, brother. Thanks.
Thank you. That is Tim Doolin on baseball. He's brought to you by Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. Ken knows you're making the leap. You're building the dream home. You've got land in your family you're not sure how to utilize. Or maybe you're looking for land. They find it. They've got it. They know how to steer you in the right direction to build that palace. Go to Ken Garland Custom Homes. Go to kengarland.com, I should say, and go look and see what he's done over the last 40, 50 years. Third generation in the business now. They see the little details, the big picture. If you don't want to move, but you want modern amenities, the California closets, the island in the kitchen, the media room with the speakers in the wall, you got to go see him because he knows how to renovate. I call it renovation with innovation. He's the most innovative. He's the best. He is clearly the guy you got to go to for renovation or building that dream home. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. We go downtown in a minute. The Hall of Famer Jarvis Greer standing by. We'll talk about that draft and a whole lot more. That comes your way in just a moment.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Hey everybody, June is about baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and a new All-Star Chevrolet. Because staycation or vacation, it begins right here in Olive Branch. So let's see how low your payments can go. Come to All-Star and see what 0% financing for 5 years on all these new Silverados will do for you. Because your good credit deserves it. Military and first responders, you get an extra $500 bonus. And All-Star Chevrolet has pre-owned makes and models for any budget. Price in the 10s, 15s, or 20s. Or you can go big with a Tahoe, Traverse with the third row seating, Corvette Stingray. Oh yeah, pre-owned Silverados, they always got them. And for your commercial and fleet needs, All-Star Chevy is a top-rated business elite dealer. Express cargo and express passenger vans, they are there in Olive Branch. And if you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it here to All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch and get the most money for it today. Together, let's drive. Don't miss the best sale of the summer event going on right now in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet, or go to allstarautogroup.com.
There's enough needless nonsense in the world already. Your phone plan shouldn't add to it. Verizon's new Simplicity plan cuts down on the nonsense in your life. Now there's just one plan, one price, $30 a line per month, even for a single line. And everyone gets our best 5G network. It's a phone plan designed to do exactly what a phone plan is supposed to do. Isn't that a lot simpler? Switch today at Verizon.com or at your nearest store. For new customers, $30 per line includes auto pay and switch discount. Additional taxes, fees, and terms apply. Unlimited data is restricted to on-device smartphone usage. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We head downtown on the Sissy's Log Cabin line. Talk with our good friend Jarvis Greer, the Hall of Famer. Jarvo, I know you were in the house at FedEx Forum for the draft party. It went crazy when Cam Boozer's name was announced. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Dave. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. That was the largest pre-draft crowd I've seen since the jaw draft. I mean, that was a good 5,000 people there, and you could see all the work going on in the arena, which is cool. But the thing is, like when the number 2 pick came up on the Jumbotron and everybody's looking at it, and they started to stand up and they said it is Peterson. Oh man, a noticeable whoop went up from the crowd. They were all jazzed. And then when it got to the number 3 pick and you saw on the screen, the pick is in and here comes the commissioner, with the number 3 pick, the Memphis Grizzlies select he barely even got it out. And it's just people jumping up and down, cell phones out. And I'll send you a video because it was like cool. I took my grandson to it and he had a great time. But it was like a total party. They dropped the streamers from the ceiling. They had the smoke machines going. It was all really, really cool.
So the
fans like it, that's for sure.
The experts have graded Memphis the highest of all the drafts. They end up with 3 guys, and they get a backup center and have 2 second-round draft choices extra. I'd say Zach Kleiman was a wizard in this. I don't really know. You know, I'm sold on Boozer. I don't really know about Lopez. I don't really know about second-round draft choices. I don't think Richie Saunders is anything more than a 2-way guy, maybe. And he's coming off an injury, but just the maneuvering that has occurred. I mean, that appeared to be pretty darn crafty.
Well, they don't call him King Kleiman for nothing.
Yeah.
They don't call him King Kleiman for nothing. And we all know that he has had a really good history of drafting as a general manager. He had that 1 year, which he apologized for. They went totally young, and that was the Zaire draft where they got Roddy and LaRavia and Zaire Williams. But every other one's been a hit. So, that's just knowing what to do and how to work the system and how to end up with a couple of more second-round picks. Second-round pick. What's second-round pick worth? Well, they used 3 of them to get Beef Stew, Isaiah Stewart. Which
you like that
man,
move?
I didn't see that coming.
Is that a good move?
Do. Yes, I do, because they definitely needed a backup big. None of the guys that they have so far, and there's nobody on the roster that will really qualify as a backup big. They definitely needed a backup big. As Isaiah Stewart, although he's not tall, kind of like Ben Wallace. Not as good as Ben Wallace at Detroit, if you remember back in the day.
Oh, I remember.
When the Grizz first got here.
Yeah.
But Big Ben, he's about 6'8", but he's burly. He's a rough and tumble dude. He's a 10-5 guy, 10 points, 5 rebounds, and a backup role, block and a half a game. So, and also he's kind of an enforcer, which, hey, everybody needs that on their team. And I think that's a tremendous one. I didn't see that one coming because I thought they'd probably go into free agency, after the draft to get a vet big on the roster, but they do it during the draft. They use 3 of their second-round picks, of which they have oodles, and then they still end up with 2 extra second-round picks after the draft. So, yeah, A+ for King Kleiman.
All right, they answered big, okay, and rebounding, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't answer point guard, unless you're just thinking Ty Jerome and Scottie Pippen Jr. And, and Clayton are the guys. I asked this of Pete Pranica earlier in the program. I'm going to ask you, do you think because they haven't really addressed that point guard position in this draft or in any of those maneuverings, and they could have had Philon, they could have had Anderson, they had guards that were available at both 16 and 32, and 16 in particular, do you think there's a chance, because look at Melo gets traded for a lot of picks and everything, over Ja to Minnesota today. Do you think Zach Kleiman is considering keeping Ja Morant?
So you're saying there's a chance, right?
Well, I'm asking because Pete Braddock has said emphatically no way.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard he gave an emphatic no. Me as a fan, and with all the fans in attendance at the draft party, when they passed over, those guys Phylon and Cam Carr and those, and it's like, wow, does that mean we're keeping Ja? I mean, that's like, these are fans saying that. We had knowledgeable basketball fans here. And does that mean we're keeping Ja? And that was a big murmur going through the crowd. And, Ja's box office. LaMelo was box office. But here's the deal right now. This LaMelo Ball thing happened real fast, going from Charlotte to Minnesota. They got now they have like $40 million in what is it called, trade exception. Ja's got $42 million owed this year, like $47 million owed next year, something other like that. And Ja's from South Carolina, right across the border from Charlotte. Could that be a move that would happen? Because now Charlotte needs a point guard.
Mm-hmm.
That might open the door for that. But I don't know. That's the only thing I'm thinking right now, because me personally, like the Grizz don't have to do anything, but that's a deal if they were. That's a deal that they would consider, and I'm sure Charlotte would consider that, because that's home box office. That's HBO. It's Ja's homegrown. They'll put up with a lot of this we got Ja foolishness, because they'll want him there, I would think.
Do you think with Jerome, Pippen, and Clayton that point guard position is good enough?
I don't know about Clayton, but I think Pippen, Jerome, and don't forget the two-way guy we had last year. I was just talking about
Small?
that. The name
Eddie Small?
Javon Small. He
Yeah.
played really well at the end of the season when everybody was out hurt. He played well against a lot of those guys and proved he could run the club. So he'd be great as your third guard, or as he's still on the two-way for next year. They could call him up, put him on a regular contract. But we saw what Ty Jerome could do. Ty Jerome was a point a minute. If he got 20 minutes, he's scoring 20 points. You know what I mean? And also, he's a good assist guy. So, I still think, they may still want to make some sort of move unless we keep Ja, and that's still a possibility. He's on the roster till he's not, and Ja is box office, and Ja is a winner when he plays. And the only thing about it is when he plays, the availability because of injury. He's not going out there trying to get hurt. He's trying to win games. But sometimes, I think they need to do something. The league needs to do something to protect him more, because, he's not his fault he can fly. You knock him out of the air, they ought to, that should be, all right, you're suspended for a game. Some of these deals that he does where did he come from? And they push him down when he's on a breakaway and he's already 6 feet off the ground. Hey, nothing good can happen from that, even if he was 6'6" rather than 6'3". 6'3", 200, 6'6", 200 rather than 6'3", 180, whatever he is.
Mm.
So, but hey, there's still plenty of work to be done, even though they're no, I've got the dogs with me. Crap, there goes DJ. No problem. We're in good shape. Hey, how y'all doing?
There's a lot of them.
This is live radio, folks. Jarvis Greer's lost his mind. We've got dogs and grandkids and everything else. I'm going to switch topics.
Well, this is what happens. This is life on Mud Island, baby. Harbortown's awesome because the dogs more than the people. Everybody's out walking the dogs, and so am I.
Right.
And it's great life. But no, I think that there's still a lot of possibilities, and we still have free agency to go through before we even get close to knowing what kind of roster this is.
Well, yeah, he's got to shed some players. That is for sure. He's now over the limit. All right, 5-year eligibility rule in the NCAA. It's a go. You can't be a little older than 24. There may be some grandfathering going in. Seems to me like in football and basketball, as you enter your senior year, now you're going to get 2 years if you haven't used a redshirt year. What do you make of all of this, and how do you think that helps both Tiger football and basketball?
Well, it lets you know that you at least got the guy for this long, and that's a good thing. And, the 5 and 5. I think, will it cut down on some of these transfers? I don't know.
Well, you
I'm
still
not
get
sure.
one free. You get one free.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I think that's fair.
a good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair too. That's fair too. And so as long as you can do that, then yeah, because there's just too much movement. You know, like coaches are not changing teams every year, and I think that was the deal. That was what they were talking about. Coaches can go, but they usually go at the end of their contract or something other like that. They usually at a place for more than 1 year before they up and leave and go to the next place. And the players wanted that same kind of movement. Okay, well, they got the same kind of movement. You can go 1 year for free. Great. But you don't need to be going like, all right, I'm here 1 year, then I'm there another year, then I'm there another year. You know what I mean? I'm someplace else, over here, over there. And, you know, it's like, and if you're going to do that, you may as well be an employee, you know, because you're not, I don't know how they transfer credits or any of that stuff.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I was trying to think about this. I think Aaron Nolan has already used a redshirt year, right? So it won't matter for him. But I think Marcus Stokes, he could actually. So he has 2 years right now. He might get a third year.
He might get a third year. So that would be good because from looking at him, you saw him in spring practice. He looks good. He can spin it, man. He can really throw that thing out there. Both of them can.
I think for basketball, the kid that started at USF that came here, I can't even remember where he came from. Reed, the point guard. I don't think he's used a redshirt year, so he could.
No,
get 2
he didn't.
years. Wow.
Which would be great. You get some continuity in the program. I think that's what everybody wants. A little bit more continuity in the program rather than a revolving door every year. Having in football, bringing in 71, 74 new players every year.
Yeah.
And in basketball, 15 of the 18 guys are new.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know, you can't, it's hard to build any kind of continuity that way.
I'm with you on that. As always, we appreciate it. We'll talk next Thursday.
Say hello to the doggies.
Hello, doggies. Bye-bye, Jarvo. Talk to you next week.
Okay.
That is our Hall of Famer, Jarvis Greer, on the island, as he says, with all of the dogs. He's brought to you by Shell Dunn. That's Shell Dunn, Rosengarten, Mark Spensdorf. You want the worst golfer in town to handle the sale of your home? Yes, you should, because Shell Dunn, he hears the rumors about the market being so tough, but his listings sell. The secret is using his highly successful strategic marketing program. That means the difference in what you make and really when you make it, how quickly you get to the closing table. You might want to talk to 2 or 3 real estate brokers. Just make sure he's one of them. He can advise you how to prepare your home for the market, what to do, and also what not to do. Now, he may be called Mr. Three-Putt and Sheldon the Shank, and you wouldn't want to use him for golf lessons, but most people know when you want to sell your home and you want the job done, you call Sheldon, 483-0546, or you can email him at shellrose, this is new, shellrose at memphisrelocate.com. And yes, relocate's in the name. That's shellrose at memphisrelocate.com, or on the phone. He'll answer by the second ring at 483-0546. We're out of time. We'll do it again tomorrow. World Cup with Matt O'Sullivan, we hope, first thing. And then Andy Schiffman on this NBA. We'll end our week with Jonah Dillon, and we'll talk about this 5-year eligibility rule and a whole lot more. That's tomorrow. Johnny Radio's right around the corner. Have a great day, everyone.